as are the toilets, and if there's any sort of emergency, we will assemble outside in the warm sunshine, of course. Our plan this morning is we're going to hear from the Mayor, Boris Johnson, also from Jules Pipe and from Chris Boardman. The Mayor and this group will then step outside to do some media, and we will hear from Andrew Gilligan, the Mayor's Cycling Commissioner, who will also then take some questions. We then have a series of popular speakers in a session chaired by Lily Matson. At the end of that, there will be a panel session with questions and answers. We expect to be finished by 12 o'clock, and for those who've survived the entire process, there will be some lunch. So we hope you'll be able to stay with us through that. So we're going to make a start, and I'm very pleased to introduce the Mayor, Boris Johnson.
Thank you very much, Phil. Thank you. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to City Hall. Beautiful cycling summit taking place. Why have we got this preposterous light here? Is that for the purpose of the TV? How many of you came here by bicycle, by the way? Can I just ask? Just as a matter of interest, come on. Could there be a more spectacular day? But yes, a few hands going up there. Well done, quite rightly. But those of you who didn't, I know, have a keen interest in cycling. You are, I know, the people who are going to deliver what we're talking about. And this is the next great push forwards on our cycling agenda. You are the guys. If anybody can do this, you can. Because I know we've got lots of the key people here from the boroughs. I'm looking around this room and I see the people who really are going to make it happen. It was in 1818, of course, that the first great London cycle breakthrough took place, when my putative ancestor Dennis Johnson found a way of reducing the weight of the velocipede or curricle or hobby horse, as they were then known. And you know what he did? He got there were these very heavy German spokes which were made of wood. And Dennis Johnson had the brilliant idea of making the spokes out of metal and thereby lightening the weight. How about that? So ever since we Johnsons have been keen spokesmen. There you go. There was a joke in there somewhere. Keen spokesman for cycling, which is what we are. And I'm proud to say that on the Transport for London road network, which Leon manages so brilliantly, we have seen a trebling of cycling in the last 10 years, and that's, I think, multifactorial, but it's at least partly down to our successful policies to get more people onto bicycles. And we mean to increase this. You know how ambitious we are to this end, and it means that we need to satisfy demand and to create conditions which are safe, not just for experienced commuter cyclists, but also cyclists who don't have quite that level of confidence, people who might feel deterred for one reason or another. And I said a year ago, I think when many of you turned up to a previous such occasion, I said a year ago that cycling is now embedded in the heart of TfL. It is in the DNA of the organisation. I don't know why you're looking there, sceptical. It is. We are absolutely committed to this, and cycling is going to be treated not as a marginal activity, not as a niche activity, not as something eccentric, but as what it is, and what it increasingly is, an integral part of the transport network, with the capital spending, the road space, and traffic planners' attention. Capital spending, road space, and traffic planners' attention that we should apply to what is the best and healthiest way of getting around our city. And since we last spoke, a huge amount of hard graft has gone into developing and progressing some of the proposals we discussed. Flagship schemes such as the East-West Crossrail for the bike, the £300 million transformation of 33 of London's most difficult junctions, which I announced last week. But the crucial relationship for us in TfL is, of course, with so many of you here today in the London boroughs. 95% of our road work in our city is in your hands. They belong to you. Without you, we can achieve little or nothing. And I'm very, very pleased with the progress that we're making. On the Central London Grid programme for routes in Zone 1, we are delighted by the level of support we are receiving from the 9 central London boroughs. First phase funding for routes has been approved, and we are now negotiating with the boroughs for the second phase funding. For routes outside central London, we've held detailed discussions with every borough. The manifold fruits of these discussions have now been harvested, and we are almost in a position to announce which routes and schemes we will fund. In Outer London, the flagship programme of our borough cycling funding is the Mini Hollands, which will give a massive funding boost. Sorry about that. Nothing important there. We'll sort that. A massive funding boost to 3 selected outer boroughs for commensurately dramatic and transformational change. Now, the competition to choose these winners was very, very stiff, and I was completely impartial. I had nothing to do with it. It was, it was a grim, sacerdotal task assigned purely to experts. There was no politics in this, ladies and gentlemen. The competition was very, very stiff, and it was very difficult. But I'm delighted to announce that the 3 winners of the, I think, very considerable funding packages are: 1, are you ready? Kingston. A major cycle hub will be created, and the plaza outside Kingston Station will be transformed. New high-quality cycling routes to New Malden and Rains Park will be introduced, together with a Thames Riverside Boardway, a landmark project which could see a new cycle boardwalk delivered on the banks of the River Thames. Number 2, Enfield. Enfield Town Centre. Enfield Town Centre will be completely redesigned with segregated cycle lanes linking key destinations. 3 cycle hubs will be delivered across the borough and new greenway routes introduced. And the 3rd, Waltham Forest. A semi-segregated superhighway style route along Lee Bridge Road will be developed, as well as a range of measures focused on improving cycling in residential areas and key town centres such as Walthamstow, Leighton, Leytonstone, Chingford and Hyams Park. I also particularly want to praise submissions by Bexley and Newham, whose bids were imaginative and painstaking. I'm glad to say that partly because we have only selected 3 winners, we will award substantial amounts of money to Bexley, Newham and all the other runners-up to do very significant elements of the programmes they proposed. I've slightly changed the script there, I want you to know. But anyway, we will. Very significant elements of the programmes that they proposed. The decision on the Mini Hollands means that we now have a clear idea of how much funding we can allocate to the other boroughs and for which schemes, and therefore I hope funding decisions on the routes and schemes you have all been discussing with us will follow very shortly. The rubber, my friends, is about to hit the road, and obviously for those boroughs that will have to wait, we can't do everything at once, but don't underestimate our determination. Your turn, your time will definitely come. We may not have as many canals in outer London as they do in Holland. We may not have as many tulips. Well, we possibly do actually these days. We may not have as many tulips in outer London as we do in Holland. We may not have as many aromatically scented cafes with strangely tasting chocolate brownies, thank heavens. But we are determined to go as Dutch as possible and as fast as possible in the boroughs of outer London. Thank you very much for coming along. I now have great pleasure in introducing Mayor Jules Pipe of London Councils, who will say what so many councils are doing to make this happen. Thank you very much.